Deep in the mountains of Peru lies a place that holds secrets never to be revealed, Machu Picchu. For many, the lost city of the Incas has already had all its mysteries unveiled, but the truth is that new discoveries are changing everything we thought we knew. Get ready, because today you're going to discover hidden chambers, secret rituals, and enigmas that have been buried for centuries. Before entering this hidden world, go ahead and subscribe, activate the notification bell, and leave your like. This helps spread these mysteries to more people who, like you, want to know the secrets that history has hidden. The hidden boundaries of Machu Picchu. High in the Peruvian Andes, the jungle hides more than just trees. For centuries, it has concealed the remains of a lost world. This world is composed of stone temples, sacred water channels, and hidden paths that extend through the mountains. When most people think of Machu Picchu, they imagine the famous view from travel brochures, a cluster of ancient stone terraces perched atop a mountain range. However, that well-known citadel is only a small part of the site. Beyond that, there is a much larger area, covering more than 125 square miles. This wider sanctuary is full of unexplored sites that still hold many mysteries. The Inca civilization. The people who built this incredible place were the Incas, one of the most advanced civilizations in pre-Columbian South America. At its peak, the Inca Empire stretched across present-day Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and parts of Chile and Argentina. They were expert builders and engineers who erected vast systems of roads, agricultural terraces, and stone cities, all without modern machinery. The Incas are best known for their incredible stonework called polished masonry. The stones fit together perfectly without any mortar. The stones at Machu Picchu were carefully shaped and fitted with such precision that they have survived centuries of earthquakes and harsh weather conditions. This mastery allowed the Incas to control a vast territory and connect communities scattered across rugged terrain. Machu Picchu was one of their greatest achievements, serving both practical and spiritual functions. Physically, it functioned as a royal estate and a strategic location for agriculture and governance, with terraces, storage areas, and dwellings for nobles. Spiritually, it was believed to be a sacred center where the Incas held religious ceremonies to honor their gods and connect with the heavens, mountains, and natural forces they deeply respected. Beyond the famous citadel, there is a network of temples, terraces, and ancient trails that once connected different parts of the sanctuary. Many of these areas are still swallowed by dense jungle. Over the centuries, vegetation has grown over buildings and roads, completely hiding them from view. Archaeologists believe that even today, large parts of this landscape have not yet been explored or even identified. Why does Machu Picchu hide so many secrets? This is due to the location and preservation rules. The sanctuary is located in a remote region, surrounded by dangerous cliffs, fast-flowing rivers, and dense forests. These natural barriers make exploration extremely difficult. For much of modern history, researchers have focused almost entirely on the citadel, which was accessible and already famous. Strict conservation laws added another layer of challenge, limiting excavations to protect the fragile ruins from damage. This left vast areas virtually untouched and fueled centuries of mystery. Myths and stories began to spread about secret temples, sealed tombs, and hidden chambers deep within the mountains, waiting to be discovered. Places beyond the citadel. Some areas outside the citadel have gained attention in recent years. Cochabamba, for example, is several kilometers away and contains complex stone channels and ceremonial baths. Huayna Picchu, The imposing peak behind the main citadel guards mysterious caves and temples such as the Temple of the Moon. These sites were neglected for generations because reaching them meant facing dangerous climbs or risky river crossings. Explorers knew they existed, but lacked the proper tools to study them correctly. This began to change when researchers introduced modern mapping technology. For the first time, they were able to see through the dense jungle and reveal structures that had remained invisible for centuries, showing a Machu Picchu that was much larger and more complex than previously imagined. The scans that went through the jungle. When researchers recently began using Lidar technology to study Machu Picchu from above, the story changed. Lidar is a mapping tool that sends laser pulses from drones or small aircraft. These lasers penetrate the dense canopy of the jungle and create a three-dimensional image of the ground below. It wasn't a simple tool or a common upgrade, it was a revolution. The team launched drones and small aircraft over the dense forest, flying low and steady over terrain that no one could safely traverse on foot. From the ground, the forest seemed impenetrable, but from the air, the drones fired thousands of laser pulses every second. These pulses penetrated the gaps between leaves and branches, ricocheting off the ground below before returning to the sensors. Each return signal was carefully recorded, allowing researchers to construct an incredibly precise three-dimensional map of the entire area. When the first scans appeared on their screens, the reaction was immediate. At first, it looked like just another topographic image, but soon unmistakable patterns began to emerge. Straight lines appeared where nature would never have placed them. Flat rectangular shapes suggested foundations buried beneath the earth. Entire terraces, invisible to anyone on the ground, suddenly became visible in perfect detail. Some of the most shocking discoveries came from Cochabamba. Before Lidar, it appeared to be just a clearing covered in vegetation. Scans revealed that it was actually a ceremonial complex. Hidden chambers, carved stone channels, and meticulously designed terraces were all arranged with a precision that revealed advanced planning. Researchers were astonished, and the discoveries didn't stop there. As more scans were processed, other hidden structures began to emerge in areas that had never been studied before. Some appeared to be platforms for ceremonies, others contained clusters of niches, possibly for sacred objects or symbols. These scans raised an even deeper question. When exactly was all of this built? The clash of dates changes everything. For many years, historians believed they had a clear timeline for Machu Picchu. Almost everything we thought we knew about when it was built came from Spanish colonial chronicles written after the conquest. These documents place the construction of the site in the mid-1400s during the reign of Pachacuti Inca Yupanqui, one of the most powerful leaders of the Inca Empire. Over time, this date became widely accepted. It was repeated in museums, books, and classrooms, shaping the narrative that Machu Picchu was a late project, built as the royal estate and ceremonial retreat of Pachacuti. However, there was a problem with this approach. The Spanish chronicles were written decades after the events they described. They were based on memory, rumors, and sometimes political motives. The writers had never seen Machu Picchu and relied on second-hand information. This left historians with an accepted but never scientifically proven timeline. Archaeologists decided to put this traditional chronology to the test. Instead of relying on ancient texts, they turned to physical evidence buried at the site. Teams collected tiny organic samples from carefully sealed layers around walls, floors, and construction areas. These included fragments of charcoal from ancient fires, plant fibers, and other materials left behind during the site's original construction and use. The goal was to determine the true age of these layers using radiocarbon dating, a method that measures traces of carbon in material that was once living. The samples were analyzed using accelerator mass spectrometry, or AMS, a highly advanced form of radiocarbon dating. This method can detect incredibly small amounts of carbon with great precision. The laboratories also checked each sample for contamination and calibrated the results using tree ring data, ensuring that the dates corresponded to actual calendar years. When the results came in, they were nothing short of shocking. Instead of confirming the mid-1400s timeline, the data showed that some structures at Machu Picchu were already in use as early as the 1420s and 1430s. This meant that activity at the site had begun earlier than anyone believed. In other words, Machu Picchu was not a quick project built at the end of the empire's history. It was already an active and important site before Pachacuti reached the height of his power. These results were peer-reviewed and published, giving them strong credibility within the scientific community. This discovery changed everything. If the site's origins date back earlier than expected, then the purpose of Machu Picchu must also be reconsidered. Perhaps it didn't begin as a private royal retreat. Instead, it may have been part of a larger religious landscape. The new timeline also highlighted the limitations of relying solely on historical writings. Spanish sources still have value, but they reflect a narrow perspective, shaped by politics and incomplete knowledge. Scientific dating, on the other hand, comes directly from sealed layers untouched since the Incas walked there. It offers a chronology based on physical evidence, not on rumors or interpretations. Even with this progress, many questions remain. Radiocarbon dating cannot tell us which ruler gave the orders or why certain areas were built first. It only shows that the site was active earlier than previously believed. Some researchers now argue that the sanctuary began as a place of pilgrimage and ritual gatherings long before it was associated with royal power. Others believe that royal and religious uses may have overlapped from the beginning. These revelations have completely changed how researchers understand Machu Picchu. Knowing that the site was active much earlier than previously thought has given new importance to the areas still buried beneath the jungle. Studying scans and maps was no longer enough to truly understand why Machu Picchu was built and how it was used. A team of archaeologists decided to physically explore the hidden chambers detected through advanced scanning technology. The team knew the process would be difficult. The terrain was uneven, the structures fragile, and even reaching some of these spaces posed serious risks. Despite the challenges, they pressed on, determined to uncover what had been sealed for centuries. What was inside? When the research team finally entered the newly discovered area, they knew immediately that they were entering a place that had been sealed off for a very long time. According to initial reports, which have not yet been officially verified, this part of Machu Picchu had been sealed for centuries. The first thing they noticed was the air. It was thick, damp, and foul, with a smell stemming from years of neglect. The walls were partially covered in roots and vines that had seeped through small cracks, showing how long nature had been trying to reclaim the space. The floor was uneven, and each step had to be taken carefully. Some archaeologists later reported that the moment seemed strange and unsettling, as if they were stepping directly into the past. As their flashlights scanned the walls, they began to understand that this was no ordinary space. Stones were carefully fitted together, revealing a high level of skill. The environment appeared to be built for ceremonial or spiritual use. The first striking feature encountered was a series of stone basins. These basins were carved from solid rock, and each was connected to the next so that water could flow from the upper basin to the lower ones in a very controlled pattern. Researchers believe this design was intentional. Based on similar findings at other Inca sites, they think these basins were used in purification rituals. In these ceremonies, participants could wash themselves or certain objects before important events. Reports suggest, but have not yet been confirmed, that these spaces may have been restricted to a small group of people, such as priests or royal attendants. The location, far from public areas, reinforces the idea that it was a private and highly protected place. As the team ventured deeper, they discovered smooth, flat stones that appeared to be altars. Some of these stones had carefully cut grooves in their surfaces. The exact purpose of these grooves is not fully known, but some researchers believe they were used to direct liquids such as water or offerings during ceremonies. Along the walls were rows of carved niches. These niches were empty, but their shape suggests they once housed sacred objects, ritual tools, or symbolic items. The fact that nothing remains makes it difficult to know exactly what they were. Some accounts even speculate that they may have been deliberately removed by the Incas themselves before abandoning the site. Others believe they may have degraded over time if they were made of wood or fabric. The most surprising discovery came when researchers examined the structure beneath the visible floors. They found a complex system of narrow channels built under the space. These channels were designed to guide water through different levels before draining back into a nearby river. According to studies, this level of engineering required advanced planning and a deep understanding of how water moves through the landscape. It was not just a practical drainage system. In Inca culture, water was considered sacred. It symbolized life, renewal, and connection to the spiritual world. This suggests that the canals were part of a larger ritual system. The movement of water through the space may have been seen as a sacred act, blending the natural environment with religious practice. This discovery challenged long-held beliefs about Machu Picchu. For many years, the site was primarily viewed as a royal retreat for the Inca elite, a place where rulers came to rest and escape the demands of the empire. However, the newly discovered area suggests that Machu Picchu had a broader role. It was likely part of a network of sacred spaces where spiritual ceremonies were performed. Water appears to have been central to these rituals, which may have involved purification, offerings, and symbolic acts connecting the people to the mountains and the gods. There were no treasures of gold or silver inside the chamber. No royal mummy or glittering artifact was found. According to reports, what was discovered was of greater value in another way. It offered a rare glimpse into how the Incas viewed their world. The precision of the engineering and the care put into every detail showed that they did not separate their practical needs from their spiritual beliefs. Each stone had a purpose that was both functional and sacred. But even with these discoveries, many questions remain. If this hidden chamber existed for centuries without anyone knowing, are there other rooms still sealed behind walls or underground? The myth of the secret door and what the authorities said. In the mid-2010s, a sensational story began to spread through travel blogs, news headlines, and tourist groups visiting Machu Picchu. Guides whispered to visitors about a mysterious sealed door hidden deep within the citadel. Independent researchers claimed to have discovered hollow spaces behind a wall near one of the site's most visited landmarks, the Temple of the Three Windows. This temple, known for its 3 large openings perfectly aligned with the sunrise, has long been considered one of the citadel's most sacred and symbolically important structures. The claim was based on ground-penetrating radar scans. These scans reportedly showed well-defined rectangular cavities behind a section of masonry where no official record mentioned rooms. To the public, the meaning seemed clear. If there was empty space behind a wall, there could be a secret chamber. As the rumor grew, the speculation became more dramatic. Some explorers declared it could be the tomb of Pachacuti, the legendary Inca ruler often associated with the construction of Machu Picchu. Others went even further, suggesting that mummies, priceless artifacts, or even gold offerings might be locked inside. Travel magazines and TV programs rushed to cover the story. Social media exploded with excitement. For a brief moment, it seemed the world might be about to witness one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time. But not everyone believed the claims. Some archaeologists warned that the evidence was far from conclusive. Ground-penetrating radar doesn't produce photographs. It sends signals underground and creates patterns based on how those signals return. Interpreting these patterns is difficult. Natural cracks in the stone or spaces intentionally left for drainage can appear as perfect voids in a scan. In other words, what looked like a hidden room could simply be part of the original construction or even an illusion caused by the equipment. The excitement eventually reached the authorities in Peru and international heritage groups like UNESCO. They reviewed both the radar results and the proposed excavation plans. The plans involved drilling or removing stones from the original walls. Experts quickly raised concerns. Inca masonry is supported by precisely interlocking stones without mortar. Even a small intervention could destabilize an entire section of the citadel. Drilling a single hole could alter how weight and water are distributed throughout the structure, leading to cracks or permanent damage. Faced with these risks, the Peruvian Ministry of Culture made a clear decision. The wall would not be opened. UNESCO supported this decision, emphasizing that preservation must come before exploration. Without absolute proof of what lay behind the wall and without a safe method to reach it, the structure would remain untouched. Instead, researchers were encouraged to continue studying the area with non-invasive tools such as advanced radar, 3D scanning, and detailed monitoring. The decision frustrated some of the public, who were expecting a dramatic revelation. It also disappointed some researchers, who remained convinced that something extraordinary might be hidden there. However, many archaeologists defended the choice, warning that a reckless excavation could create a dangerous precedent. If every potential void were opened, it could harm not only Machu Picchu, but also heritage sites around the world. Today, the door remains sealed. The rumor, however, has not disappeared. Tourists still ask guides about it, and the story lives on online. For those who want to see what a true sacred inner space is like, there is a proven example. A challenging climb to Huayna Picchu leads to a documented cave temple with carved niches and intricate stones. This temple demonstrates how the Incas shaped the interior of a mountain for religious purposes. Contrary to rumors, this site is real and accessible, offering a glimpse into what may exist in the hidden places of Machu Picchu without putting the sanctuary at risk. What an underground temple reveals. Huayna Picchu is famous for its narrow and challenging trails and panoramic views, but it also holds one of the most intriguing ceremonial structures in the entire sanctuary, the Temple of the Moon, also known as the Great Cave. The Temple of the Moon is located inside a natural cave that the Incas carefully shaped and reinforced. Forest rangers and archaeologists have studied it for decades, and its features are visible without the need for advanced technology. To reach it, visitors must follow a side trail that descends from the summit of Huayna Picchu to a terrace halfway up the mountain. There, the cave opens into a space that combines natural rock formations with precise Inca masonry. Contrary to rumors of hidden doors, this is a place we can see and explore directly, providing a reliable point of reference for understanding how the Incas designed interior spaces. Inside the cave, the architecture reflects careful planning. The walls are made of perfectly fitted stones, a hallmark of Inca engineering, creating stability without the use of mortar. The space is divided into distinct zones. Along the walls, there are carved niches to house offerings or ceremonial items. Flat platforms, some low, suggest areas where objects were placed or rituals performed. A carved stone bench runs through part of the cave, probably used during ceremonies. Stairs connect different levels of the interior, guiding movement from an external area to deeper, enclosed sections. The layout appears intentional, with a clear flow directing both people and offerings through the space. Evidence inside the cave adds further details to its history. Archaeologists have found soot-like residue near certain stones, indicating that campfires or incense may have been used in ceremonies. According to some accounts, the acoustics inside the cave create an unusual effect, with voices echoing in a way that intensifies chants or prayers. This acoustic detail has not yet been formally studied, but it fits the idea of a space designed to enhance ritual experiences. Some researchers also note how certain openings frame views of nearby peaks and valleys, suggesting a symbolic connection between the cave and the surrounding sacred landscape. These interpretations are still speculative, but they align with the Inca practice of treating mountains and caves as living elements within their spiritual vision. The construction itself demonstrates impressive engineering skill. The stones were cut to fit the irregular shape of the cave, allowing the weight to be safely transferred to the surrounding rock. Drainage pathways were constructed to direct water outwards, protecting the space from erosion or flooding. Outside the cave, there is a small terrace that likely served as a preparation area, where participants could gather before entering the sacred space. This design mirrors other Inca ceremonial sites, where access was carefully controlled to maintain a sense of progression and sacredness. By studying this cave, authorities also gain a better understanding of why caution is essential when exploring other potential voids within the sanctuary. The balance of the stones within a cave temple is delicate. Removing even a single block could destabilize the structure or alter how moisture moves through the mountain. Once the damage has occurred, it cannot be fully repaired. That is why officials insist on non-invasive methods and extreme care. In the end, Machu Picchu isn't about lost gold or secret tombs. It's about a civilization's profound connection with nature and spirituality. A story etched in stone and water that still holds answers that may never be fully revealed. And you, do you believe there are still hidden chambers waiting to be discovered in the mountains of Peru? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you enjoyed this dive into the mystery, share this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Here, every week, we reveal the world's darkest secrets and most impressive curiosities.